I'm not one of them mainstream cunts, I'm that one full of pain and love.
I was reading Tony Robbins' book, right? And he was saying that...
the tall guy, very tall guy, big guy.
Very tall guy, man. The guy that's been talking... He's I think he was one of the first ever motivational speakers ever. I think. I'm not entirely sure about that, but yeah, I think he was one of the first, you know? And
there was Tony Robbins, and then there was...
Ron something. I forget his name. Isn't that this? I mean, I'm sure, you know, Plato and all the philosophers before him, you know, were fucking something. But at the same time, yeah, I think he was one of, from my memory, I think he was like one of the originals, the goats, as they like to refer to them.
They're like the goats.
The goats. Like they referred to Eminem as the goat. But getting back to the thing that I was going to say, so Tony Robbins was talking about how movement in the body can change your mood and be very beneficial for mental health. This is why a lot of mental health physicians, they talk about how exercise is very, very important for people struggling with illnesses. And, you know, I think it has a lot to do with not only blood flow to your brain, but it also has a lot to do with, you know, like we have many different things that attach to our brain, and the more blood we have circulating, the more likely we're not going to struggle with things of depression and anxiety. At least that's what I think, you know. So like dancing, a lot of people say dancing and expression and stuff like that, it really does help with mental health and stuff, you know. There's this movie called Sucker Punch, and Sucker Punch was about that. It was about this girl in a mental institution, and she was dancing, and she has schizophrenia, right? And she's dancing, and she's imagining all these different scenarios as she's dancing. Yeah. And it helped her, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean...
It made it feel a bit more calm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if that's part of the reason why you dance as well, but I know that what you're saying.
As well.
Yeah. So does that help? Like when you dance, do you feel more calm? Like does it?
It does indeed, man. I noticed that it actually helps. I think Chris Brown has a little bit of that as well, bipolar.
You think that's why he just gets out and beat the shit out of fucking
Chris Brown is bipolar. He's got a mental illness as well, takes medication. He's got a lot of anger issues, you know. It's quite interesting, man.
See, I this is the thing about mental health, man. Like I've never been diagnosed with anything official. You know, I think I have ADHD. I think I have borderline personality disorders, maybe. I have maybe narcissism, you know. I got a whole bunch of things that I think I have. But that's only because, you know, when you look at diagrams of psychology fucking pyramids, you're like, well, that sounds about right. But when some physician from the outside is looking in, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 of them to actually diagnose you with a proper issue. And here's the thing, what do you think about medication, man? Like,
I disagree with medication. Natural medication. I feel like these things that they call schizophrenia today is what people would call the old school days phases of life, spiritual encounters, kind of spiritual phases, you know. Maybe before 1930s, before the 1900s, people's schizophrenia may have been called witch doctors, people possessed by demons, people, spiritual people, you know.
Yeah, but that's
saints or whatever.
That's another thing too.
Today they would call them shamans.
Shamans used to say that, like, if you had schizophrenia, you were talking to demons and shit, man.
Yeah, you were talking to demons,
But I mean, yeah, go on. Sorry.
Well, they label a lot of these diagnoses, and they don't have evidence for it to prove it. They kind of give you a CAT scan or what is it, an MRI scan, and to check your brain. Say, yeah, because of your brain, you know that you have whatever. All they can do is look at your personality, ask you questions, and they say, yeah, okay, you have that. But there's no scientific evidence for it, you know.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
mean,
quite, you know, borderline. How can I say? Shady, you know. It's a bit shady.
well, I mean, here's the thing, right? I mean, the brain, we still don't fully understand how the brain works, man. I mean, the virtues of what mental health is these days is mainly people talking about imbalances in the brain chemically. And that's the reason why they give us medication and whatnot, you know? And they say that certain parts of your brain light up for different illnesses, you know? So, say, for example, if you have bipolar, certain aspects of your brain are going to light up to certain aspects of questions, you know what I mean? So that's how they diagnose certain symptoms and prescribe medication. But at the same time, for anyone to have a foolproof kind of knowledge about psychology in terms of the way that the brain manifests things, I feel as if we need over fucking 1,000 years to truly understand how the brain works. And this is a problem because most people suffering from mental health could suffer from a misdiagnosis, be handed a whole bunch of things that aren't really good for them, and it messes up their brain even more. Like a lot of people say that, you know, they get suicidal tendencies. It messes with your creativity. You know what I mean? You have weight gain, all these different symptoms, man. And what does it do? It numbs you the fuck out. Sometimes it's very beneficial for people. Sometimes it isn't. You know what I mean? In your case, like, do you think like medication is a good thing, or do you prefer no medication?
To be honest, you know, I was put on it at a young age, you know. So 16, 17, 18. But I've been on and off it. And I read the side effects are pretty harsh. But you can detox. You can detox from it. You just gotta go back into nature, go back into like the wild, not the wilderness, but you know, back into like normal natural habitation. You know, have your own farm or whatever land, and you know, eat from your own resources, vegetation, you know.
Yeah, I heard diet's a big contributor to mental health too, man. The wrong diet can really send you spiraling into depression too. You wouldn't think diet would be a contributing factor to the brain, but it's like, you know, you are what you eat sort of thing, you know? Like, if you eat terrible diet, man, it's going to manifest in your body, and your body eternally is going to send it to your brain, and that's probably not going to be the best either, you know? I mean, I've dabbled with SSRIs, which are mood stabilizers and stuff like that. And my mum, she's bipolar, you know, so she suffers. Yeah.
So it's hereditary, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Disease and mental illnesses are somewhat hereditary, you know, like it goes down your genealogy, and this can create trauma too, you know, growing up with this kind of, kind of awareness about this is good and bad, because it's good that we know what the symptoms are. We've seen it growing up, you know, but at the same time, this is what scares me about medication. I've seen my mum struggle with medication her whole life, and she hasn't really gotten, you know, much better. And like, you know, there's that whole thing of self-medication when it comes to alcohol and drugs and shit like that. And that doesn't fucking help either, you know? But sometimes we need escape. And I think escapism is important, you know? To moderation, you know? Like, it's good to escape, but it's also good to be here in the place that you feel your pain, because pain is growth sometimes, you know? But what do you think about escapism?
Escaped, what does that mean?
Escapism, so like, say for example, this guy on his phone over here, it's a form of escapism. This guy on his computer is a form of escapism.
Venting out.
You know what I mean? Watching a movie, listening to music is a form of escapism.
Yeah.
Video games, escapism, you know what I mean?
Escapism.
But anything that escapes you from reality is a form of escapism.
Yeah, escapism, that's interesting. Yeah, that's good. I mean, escapism is good, but at the end of the day, we all get back to that, you know, back to the problems, back consider real worldly problems. But, you know, in reality, it's all in the mind, psychological process, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's got to come back to its root, doesn't it? You know, it's got to come back to that thing that we're trying to avoid with escapism is always going to come back, you know? And like anything you resist persists. Does that make any sense? You know, like if you try to avoid something, it usually comes back in you tenfold. You can't avoid anything. You know?
Avoid something that approaches you in versa. Like for example, running away from a dog. It's not the best idea because it will just chase you.
Yeah, how ironic is that?
Catches you, right? Exactly.
So staying still when a dog tries to attack you. How the fuck are you gonna stand still when there's a fucking Rottweiler that's barking and ready to chew your ass off, man? Stand still, just don't look at it, you know?
Yeah,
I've seen this thing about dog attacks, man. Like, would you do
attacked by
that?
dogs many times, man.
Did you stand still and not look at them?
I just ran, bro. They didn't catch me. And one time I was young, could not catch me. Just sped off, man. But nowadays, if a dog attacks me, I wouldn't run. I would just try to tackle him, you know, face it on. Head first.
I think that's a metaphor for life, you know? It's like dog attacks. You know what you should do in the form of a dog attack or in terms of things in life that you don't want to deal with? Face it. To the side. Don't face it straight on or it's going to bite you.
Confront it.
Confront it, but be careful about how you confront it.